I want to elaborate a little further on a previous video that I did, just for a little clarity, I guess. I did a video on narcissism, and I wanted to, talk about covert narcissist, overt narcissist, and you got these narcissists who have psychopathic or sociopathic tendencies and other underlying pathologies, I guess, pathological features. But the one specific thing that I want to talk about in relation to narcissist behavior is the thing of gaslighting. And it's an interesting, I don't know where the term gaslighting comes from. It sounds, I don't know, to me it would make more sense like emotional and psychological manipulation, mind games, or something would fit this, because it's one of those things where the victim is led to believe or led to question his or her own sanity. And I mentioned this in the previous video also, the narcissist might whisper something and claim, oh, I was sleeping, I don't know, or I was having a bad dream, or I drank, I don't remember what I said, to whatever. But then the frequency pumps up, it starts out subtle once in every blue moon, and the frequency picks up as they try to obtain. And it is always about control, okay? They want something. Whether it is a reaction to validate their own security because they're extremely insecure, or if it is to obtain financial means, there's something to it, a level, there's control behind why they use this antic. And many sociopaths or psychopaths also use it. So it's like their favorite tool. And what the premise, why they rely on this so much. And it's going to sound strange, the victim has empathy, compassion, and all the normal emotions, where a narcissist does not have empathy. A psychopath has no conscience or remorse, They are great at deflecting the issue back onto you and make you question, but I tell people, and it's been said, many times before, when you smell smoke, there's generally fire, so if you have a feeling that something just isn't quite right, and you feel like, okay, I gotta set up a recording just to prove to myself that I'm not hallucinating, or no, I am not losing my mind, chances are you're probably right, that there's something going on, somebody's, doing this to you. And gaslighting is a hard thing to combat. I've seen videos on here about people saying, lean into it and say, yes, I'm crazy. Just lean into it, and the narcissist will stop. Or give the narcissist a taste of his or her own medicine. Gaslight, do a little gaslighting yourself. Or don't respond. And that is really the best one, is to not respond. But the problem is they escalate. They get frustrated. And some narcissists will get violent, some won't. It depends. I've tried them all. And I can't say that any of them really worked. To ignore and do things to get your own needs met. Like if it's happening at night and you're trying to sleep, wearing headphones to bed, playing meditation music to block that out, in an effort to try to block that out, would drive the narcissist crazy, because it's like, I just can't get to this person, you know? And I remember through my own experience one night making a recording using my computer, and I was listening to meditation music, and everything that I had confronted the narcissist about. I'm worried about you. You're losing your mind, you know. What? Not again, you know, and oh, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then when he realized that the computer had made a noise like, your recording has stopped. The way he jumped up and looked at the computer, it was priceless, because he realized, like, he'd been caught. And I just laid there. I didn't say anything. And for a bit. And then finally I had said, there's always somebody smarter than you. I'm not saying that I'm the smartest person or the brightest light on the Christmas tree, but this night, I'm the smarter person in the room. This particular night. And I got up and I said, tomorrow I'm going to go someplace and reassess everything about this relationship and determine whether or not it's worth coming back to. Because see, I had the headphones on, so I didn't hear. I had an idea of what I had heard in the past, and that's exactly what was on the recordings. You know, it was 3 hours worth. And I just shook my head. I'm like, wow. And you know what? You can confront the narcissist with their behavior. You can play the recording and they're going to say, I don't know, I'm doing it. Or, I swear to God, I don't remember. You believe me, don't you? You know, if you say no, you're doing this intentionally. You mean to tell me you believe that I would intentionally do this to the best woman that I ever met? I tell everybody you're the best woman I ever met. Yet I would want to do this to you to ruffle your feathers and drive you away. No. It's because you want something. Whether it is money, sex, I don't know. I mean, I've always been a giving person in relationships. In terms of catering to my partner, probably catering too much sometimes, in past. But my response is like, yeah, you want something, you know, you're laying there saying all these horrible things. And I do mean horrible. You know, my stance is like, you know, you might as well backhand me than to have said some of the things that you said. And believe me, I'm not into physical violence, but some of the things that they say when they're gaslighting is pretty painful. You know, it can cut a person, but me understanding the dynamic or having had previous experience with it, I didn't internalize it that way. I didn't buckle to it and give in and allow myself to be manipulated. So when they talk about covert narcissists as like being more meek and this and that, it's kind of misleading. I mean, covert narcissists can become violent, if they're backed in a corner or feel like, threatened or that they could be exposed somehow. Sometimes the gloves come off, and they're going to get down to he or she will get down to the nitty gritty. I mean, we think of the overt narcissist, and that's the one who's doesn't care, adhere to many things, plays by his or her own rules. They're more outward with it in terms of, hey, whatever, I'm going to do what I want to do, and that's that. And that's also some sociopathic tendencies in combination with the narcissistic tendencies or personality. A lot of times, many narcissists have both a sociopathic or psychopathic characteristics, or vice versa. Okay, but still, not a good, fun person to be involved with. In the beginning, it's, as I stated in the previous video, it is a love bombing. But truth is, there are red flags even early on when it's always talk about exes, my ex put me through hell, they're the victim, they're crazy, but yet they don't want you to have contact with their ex. They don't want you to talk to the ex and maybe learn something that the narcissist doesn't want you to know. Figure things out, because they're in the process of pursuing you and, use their fuel supply, whether it's for money, sex, to fuel their sense of security, whatever, feed their ego. It's a number of motives, but the end of the day, the bottom line is it is always about control when it comes to any type of abuse. Physical, the gaslighting, a lot of lies, a lot of broken promises. They'll say anything, to get you back. But the problem is, if you leave a narcissist and you go back, and, it's the gaslighting and all this stuff, there'll be a honeymoon phase where it'll be all good. Might be a day, could be a week, could be a month. But it will eventually slowly start to resume and will become more explosive. And each time you leave and go back to a narcissist, it becomes even more explosive. And explosive doesn't necessarily mean physical violence or somebody dying. It just means they turn up the volume in what they're going to do. So don't let terminology like covert narcissist distract and think, this sounds like I think I'm with a covert narcissist, therefore he or she may be less likely to be dangerous, because that's not necessarily the case. It depends on a lot of variables. At the end of the day, you gotta take care of yourself, gaslighting can tear a person down and take a lot from a person. It is a very horrible form of abuse that even if you make the worst girlfriend or boyfriend to a narcissist, you do not deserve to be gaslit. Believe that. Nobody does. I hope you guys find this helpful. If you like, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, give it a thumbs down. It's all good, But otherwise, be safe in this horrible time, this pandemic. Let's get through that. Take care, folks.